often full of chaos and immorality and just overall not goodness, there's one thing you can count on. That's for the Cruiserweight Classic to fucking deliver. As they did again. As we started the quarterfinals.
We did indeed. We had our first 2 matches of the quarterfinals. We opened up with Gran Metalik versus Akira Tozawa. This is 2 very different... Like, the way they've approached this tournament has been very different on either end.
A lot of levels.
You know, Gran Metalik obviously very well versed in the luchador style. And so he's got the technical prowess, he's got the high flying ability, whereas Akira Tozawa has done some technical stuff, but he's been very strong style as well.
Yeah.
And they really had that collision in this where both of them had to adapt to the other. And this was one of the first times we actually saw Akira Tozawa do a dive to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the first times we saw Gran Metalik actually get really physical, because they had a chop battle a couple times, and Gran Metalik was not holding back on any of those.
You can't with somebody like Akira Tozawa, though.
Yeah, he's too strong.
Well, to the credit of Akira Tozawa, if you don't chop him like as hard as you can, he's just going to make you pay for that.
Yeah.
Versus like he doesn't even care if you chop him hard, he doesn't care. You have to chop him as hard as you possibly can, else he's going to make you miserable.
Yeah. Not that he's not going to make you miserable throughout the entirety of the match anyway, but if you don't bring the level of intensity that he does, he's going to up his intensity.
Yeah.
Which he did throughout this entire match. But Gran Metalik had an answer for just about everything Akira did.
Yeah.
Both of them doing massive dives to the outside.
Yeah, they both did plain old tope suicidas out of the ring. Metalik hit the first one. Akira hit 2 back to back.
Yeah.
Then Metalik, though, stepped the game up, and he used the inside middle rope springboard somersault senton to the outside. Try saying that over and over again.
You could barely say it once.
I know.
You're well versed in that move more than I am, so I'm not even gonna give it a shot. This is all you, man.
But so it was like, hey, I dove, and then Tozawa was like, okay, I'll see your dive and raise you another one. And he's like, all right, I'll see your dive, but raise you a springboard from the inside and a front flip. And Tozawa was like, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, when Tozawa hit both of his dives, like the second one, he got him yeah, and then fell over. He's just like done.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, these guys, once again, we talked about it, how it's a lot more difficult to stand out against the top 8 of the tournament as opposed to the 32 that we started with. But both these guys were out to prove that they were the top notch of the final 8.
Tozawa needs to learn to stop trying to call the brainbuster.
Yeah, he tried, and then Gran Metalik's like, "Oh, that's what you're gonna do? No."
Crouch him on the top rope and then Hurricane Rana him off.
That was fucking great. Holy shit! There was a near fall in this match, so near fall that the ref counted 3. That's how near fall this was. The ref had to make sure. It was like, no. They didn't give me enough time to lift my hand away. It wasn't 2, and it's just the crowd was just so into this match. And it continued to raise the bar throughout the entirety of the match. And you saw a few different moments where you were waiting for the German
suplex.
The German was gonna happen.
Suplex.
It was gonna happen. And finally, after escaping it multiple times, Akira Tozawa does finally hit that German. Then he hits the stalling German, but Gran Metalik kicks out, and Akira goes, "What?"
And so he's like, I'm going to have to pin his arms down.
Yeah. So he starts setting up for a capture deadlift German suplex, where he's got him halfway up before Gran Metalik starts to, like, he breaks out of it, breaks the hold, and is able to duck under, pick up Akira Tozawa, hit the Metalik driver,
like that.
And Gran Metalik is moving forward to the semifinals of the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that Metalik versus whomever, Zack Sabre Jr. in the semifinals...
I hope it's Zack Sabre Jr. because
won't be a bad match, or will be. I'm not saying it would be a bad match, but what I'm saying is that currently I'm slightly disappointed because I was more so looking forward to Tozawa versus Sabre Jr. because those guys have had awesome matches in the past. To the other side of things, though, I mean, Metalik versus either of those two guys is probably going to kill it.
Yeah.
So, kudos for winning.
Yeah.
Guy.
It was for me. It was about the same amount of shock that I got from Perkins beating Gargano last week.
Yeah. The other part is I'm not super surprised because Metalik is one of the guys that was signed during the early stages of the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah.
Which makes me a little bit worried because so was Noam Dar.
He better step up his fucking game next week.
He'll have no option because next week he goes against Zack Sabre Jr.
Looking forward to it.
Also next week we have Rich Swann versus TJ Perkins.
That's
a big Evolve showcase match.
That I feel like has to be the main event. In my mind, you open with Sabre versus Noam Dar.
Because that's going to be way more ground-based anyways. Yeah. I mean, not to say that it won't be good, not to say that it won't probably have exciting moments, but it's not going to have quite the same level of heightened excitement, I think, as the Swann Perkins.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be a lot more flipping and a lot more jumping and a lot more dancing.
Yeah, and I think with the way this tournament has gone, that's what... You know, it's sad. It's not sad. It's unfortunate that that's what most people are looking forward to, because, you know, I mean, Jack Gallagher didn't do any of that, but still had top-notch matches.
Yeah.
But I think with the level that we've had with people like Kota versus Cedric, and Metalik versus Tajiri,
Mustafa versus Lindsay.
Yeah, there's just so Swann versus Lindsay. There's been so much high flying that was already what people equate to cruiserweight. So.
Yeah. And speaking of main events, Kota versus Kendrick.
Yes. This was
main event worthy if there was ever a main event worthy match.
Once again, everyone just trying to up their game. These guys pulling out stuff we haven't seen in this tournament yet. It was unfucking real.
The one thing I really appreciate about Brian Kendrick in this tournament is every single match he's been in this tournament, he's gone out of his way to develop a completely different story for every single match.
Yeah, his game plan is so well adapted to his opponent that it makes the match even more exciting.
Like, watching the first match he did with, guy with braces. That's his theme song. Raul Mendoza?
Yeah, Raul Mendoza.
Came to me there in a moment of
guy with
clarity.
braces.
Guy with braces.
Mendoza.
Yeah. Like, he played, like, the crafty veteran of that match, like, by far, and finding all the little niche ways to, like, make every move hurt a little bit more, like, you know, making him bite down on the middle rope and kicking it into his face, splitting him open, that kind of stuff. First time we get to see the reverse headlock takeover, which looks gnarly as fuck when he pulls it off.
Yeah.
But then when you had the match with him versus Tony Nese, it was the complete opposite, where Tony Nese slaughtered him through most of the match.
Well, yeah, Tony Nese had so much size over him that it was literally Kendrick had to be as scrappy and as resilient as he possibly could.
Yeah.
To overcome the athleticism and the size of Tony Nese.
Yeah, so that became the story of that match, where Kendrick could only really capitalize when Nese made a mistake.
Yeah.
This match was Kendrick's, like, swan song of not cheating so much, but just trying so hard to win.
Yeah, well, he had some nefarious tactics through the match, like trying to get Kota's foot stuck in the barricade so Kota would get counted out.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's not necessarily cheating, though.
It's not exactly playing by the rules either. This was his Johnny Cash walk the line match.
Yeah, it's but you know, it's one of those things where it was like, rather than being super offense heavy like he was with Mendoza versus being super on the defensive like he was with Tony Nese, this was much more 50-50, much more Kendrick getting off some cool moves. He did take an early onslaught.
Yeah,
like he took a kick. He took a big kick to the face like 3 seconds into the match.
Well, and then even just a couple minutes into the match, fucking Kota hits his springboard Asai moonsault.
Yeah.
And it was the whole beginning of the match was Kendrick. I feel like Kendrick was making his plan at the beginning of the match. He could not stop the power and technique that Kota was bringing. And that he was literally, like, he'd get kicked and he'd roll all the way across the ring to the outside just to buy himself some more time to really think of what he was going to do next.
Yeah, and that's sort of something I was attributing in my head as I was watching it, was like, knowing that he was older and less, maybe has less stamina than Kota Ibushi, where I felt like he was making Kota do all the work.
Yeah, okay, I can definitely see that.
Rather than try to throw his own kicks or pick Kota up and throw him around, have Kota do all the offensive moves so he tires himself out.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why you roll all the way across the ring, then your opponent has to walk all the way across the ring and follow you around. You're just slowly making them step themselves out, make them punch themselves out.
The problem with that, though, is it takes a lot to wear down Kota Ibushi.
Absolutely, which is where Kendrick decided that the fastest way to break Kota Ibushi down is with the surgically repaired neck
Oh
breaker
my god!
over an exposed turnbuckle. He pulled the little turnbuckle
That is
cover
so
off.
rude.
He did that, and then he murdered
Once
him.
again, not necessarily breaking the rules, but not exactly playing by him either.
And then he tried to murder him with a burning hammer.
Once again, not necessarily breaking. Well, no, that is breaking. You're gonna get fined for
That's
shit.
breaking WWE's rules because that's a banned move in WWE.
And that move is frowned upon in Japan.
Yeah, and that's where it was invented.
But Kota didn't give a fuck.
No, he lands right on his head and says, "Bitch, please, I'm gonna win this match."
And then Kota wasn't exactly pulling punches either. He fucking German suplexed Brian Kendrick while standing on the second rope from the apron to the inside of the ring.
Yeah, it happened.
Like,
he missed a Phoenix splash, which was like a beautiful Phoenix splash.
Well, and that was Kendrick going, okay, I've been in this spot before, because he takes a gnarly kick to the head. He gets straight up Shinsuke'd right here. Gets dropped. Kota sets him up and goes for the Phoenix splash. And Kendrick remembers it was the 450 splash that Tony Nese missed that allowed him to lock in the bully choke. So he moves out of the way of the Phoenix splash and locks in the bully choke. And so it was that moment where like Kota was like had his hands so close to the canvas, the crowd, half the crowd saying no, half the crowd saying tap. It's such an intense moment. And then Kota gets himself down low enough to where he realizes he can roll Kendrick over onto his shoulders. Referee counts 2 and Kendrick goes, "Oh shit, okay, that's not gonna work for me." Gets up and then gets fucking kicked in the head again, and he just drops. He is so done at this point. Kota picks him back up, hits the Golden Star powerbomb. Kota Ibushi is moving to the semifinals.
Yeah, not to mention that we got a good pop for Brian Kendrick busting out the sliced bread.
Yeah, really working the neck. Like, he realized that, I think this is the first time he's had an opponent that he had an injury he could exploit.
Yeah.
And so he took it to Kota, but Kota is just too fucking good. You can't.
Kota is too boss.
You can't.
For
You
your
can't
sauce.
stop the man. You can't stop the man. He's just
Ain't no stopping him. No.
no.
Sorry, Shelton Benjamin, but you're injured now.
So yeah. So now Kota Ibushi will face the winner of either Perkins or Swan.
Perkins or Swan.
And Noam Dar versus Saber will be the opponent for Gran Metalik. So, holy shit, we got 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks of the Cruiserweight Classic. If you haven't watched it yet, get on that shit. Marathon it, because it's worth it.
On it. It's a series of wrestling on the network that's binge-worthy.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I don't often say that there's, like, a series of, like, specific wrestling shows to go on and watch that are binge-worthy, but the Cruiserweight Classic is binge-worthy. Much like Holy Foley's.
There you go. Yeah, if you got a bunch of friends that haven't seen it, get together and... You know,
watch it, have a Cruiserweight party.
Yeah, like, on the 14th, when they do the finale, like...
Watch all the matches.
For 9 hours before the finale happens, just watch all 9 episodes in a row, and then finish it off with the season finale, because it's going to be fucking worth it.
Because waste your time.
Do it. Thanks for watching our Cruiserweight Classic review.
Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe on our Cruiserweight Classic review.
Click all the links down in the description of our Cruiserweight Classic review. That'll take you to all of our social medias. We might share stuff from the Cruiserweight Classic. We will share the Cruiserweight Classic review along with all the other videos and podcasts we do.
Yeah, you won't get this potential. You won't get this Cruiserweight Classic
This
review,
video might not happen, though you're watching it.
Yeah. In podcast form, though, because in the podcast form you only get our normal weekly reviews,
Yes.
which there's 4 of those. All the other cool bonus stuff, like Cruiserweight Classic review, and the top 5, which will be happening
Next,
is not in the podcast.
No.
No.
Nope, you only get that
Nada.
video style. So, for those of you that are checking out our podcast regularly, thank you for that. But come on over here so you can watch all the other cool shit we do on here.
And now that the month is officially changed over, I get to tell you who my top 5 was for last month, the August.
Yeah. Also, be sure to check out Reasonable Wrestling Fans. That is down in the description as well. That's our YouTube side where we do unboxing videos, which one should be coming up very soon. It's where we do reaction videos. We do debates, fantasy warfare style. He's going to be getting you drunk here pretty soon. And pretty soon he's also going to hit me with a kendo stick. But you only find that at Reasonable Wrestling Fans. That's
Right
Reasonable
there.
with a W.
Right there on Reasonable Wrestling Fans.
Thanks for that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next.
Got any cheese whiz?